Tonight, part 3 of a CBS 4 News investigation. They claim they did nothing wrong. For the first time, we're hearing from a Hollywood Hills nursing home attorney about those 14 patients who died in the days and weeks after Hurricane Irma. He points to a case from Hurricane Katrina, arguing it'll clear his client. Jim Cobb, a Louisiana attorney hired by Hollywood Hills, sat down for an exclusive interview with our own Jim DeFede.
For 2 months, the nursing home has refused to discuss what happened or the decisions made.
And so we started with a simple question. Why 2 months of silence?
Why are we talking now? Because we've had enough.
Jim Cobb is uniquely qualified to represent the nursing home and its owner, Dr. Jack Michel. In 2005, Cobb represented Sal and Mabel Mangano, owners of St. Rita's Nursing Home, where 35 residents drowned after Hurricane Katrina hit New Orleans.
I've seen this movie before. I was in this movie.
The Manganos were charged with 35 counts of homicide for failing to evacuate their residents to safety before the storm. They were ultimately found not guilty.
Some of the language that some of the politicians are using here in Florida is almost identical to the language that was used in Louisiana.
How so?
Well, the notion that people are saying that this is an outrage and someone needs to be held accountable and this is terrible and the owners of this nursing home did this to these poor people. We did everything we could to take care of these residents. And my objection is for politicians to throw rocks at caregivers. That's wrong.
Meanwhile, the families of the dead are filing lawsuits, including Pedro Franco, whose mother and father both died.
We want justice. We trusted these people that are supposed to be professionally trained to save people's life.
They're angry. They're angry at the nursing home. They're angry at Dr. Michel.
I understand that, okay? I understand that better than most. Their anger is justified, but the anger is misplaced if it's anger directed at us.
The Hollywood Police Department is investigating the deaths at the nursing home.
We know that we depend on those people and those facilities to care for our most vulnerable elderly population, and it's really sad when something like this goes on.
The majority of patients who expired were on hospice. What happens in these situations, Jim, and we saw it in Louisiana, is the sickest folks go first. They're the weakest.
But do you think the fact that there was no air conditioning contributed to the fact that they died?
I'm not a doctor. And unlike some other folks here in Florida who want to make those charges, I'm going to let the medical professionals take a look at that. I'm going to look at the evidence, and we're going to let somebody decide that. My own view, and we talked about this before today, is that hypothermia, which is what happened when somebody gets overheated, comes on just like that.
You say they did everything they could. The question that is asked to me over and over again on this story is, why not evacuate? Why not get them out of there? Once it was clear there was no power, get them out of that nursing home.
Great question. The data is quite clear.
The data Cobb is referring to are a series of studies performed by researchers, including this woman, University of South Florida professor Catherine Heyer, who examined what happened to 36,000 nursing home residents during Hurricanes Katrina, Rita, Gustav, and Ike.
Natural disasters clearly result in excess deaths and hospitalizations among frail populations.
Heyer testified last month during a congressional hearing in Miami.
And they believed more casualties occurred if they evacuated rather than sheltered and remained in their own building.
A resident of a nursing home is 300% more likely to die if evacuated as opposed to sheltering in place. 300% more likely. So evacuation is fraught with risk.
After the AC lost power on September 10th, Cobb said the nursing home made more than 15 calls to FP&L, 4 calls to Governor Rick Scott's cell phone, and additional pleas for help to the State Department of Emergency Management. But none of them resolved the problem. Wasn't that a signal for you to try to raise a red flag and say, we got to get these people out of here?
Think about the catch-22 situation that you're in if you're the decision maker. On the one hand, you're talking to FP&L says, the cavalry's coming. We're right on the other side of the hill. We're coming. Do we then put at risk the lives of 140 people on the assumption that they're not coming when they've told us that they are?
Should you have had a backup generator to cool for the cooling units?
No. We were in complete compliance with the requirements for the nursing home at the time of this casualty, complete compliance. And as I understand it, there was some legislation that was introduced many years ago, several years ago, to require all nursing homes to have generators, and then the legislation failed, did it not?
But it sounds like you're saying technically we were fine, you know, but what about morally? Could you have gone the extra step and had an emergency generator for the AC unit?
Well, we could have gone, we could have put an emergency generator and air conditioning unit in every single room. It's not a moral question. It's a question of what is required under state law.
Cobb also offered a preview of a possible defense strategy for some of the deaths that occurred after Memorial Regional Hospital evacuated the nursing home.
I was in Louisiana watching this tragedy unfold, and I saw these residents who had been taken out of the Hollywood home and evacuated across the street to Memorial, laying in gurneys and beds in the sun, in the Florida sun. Now, I don't know who did that, but I submit to you that's not a very wise thing to do with patients that are allegedly heated, to stick them in the sun and transition them and triage them into another place. That's why evacuations are disfavored, because when you move them, you lose them.
And Jim joining us now. You reached out to Memorial.
Sure. We've talked to Memorial Hospital. Obviously, we included some of this yesterday. We want to make this point again. They claim, they're very serious. They say that they believe that their actions that morning helped save lives, did not cost any lives.
But it sounds like part of his legal defense is that these people were old. A lot of them were in hospice. They were going to die soon anyway. I can't imagine a defense that would be more upsetting and offensive to the loved ones of those who died.
It's a combination of that, plus that because what he was saying before, talking about frail populations are the most vulnerable in terms of being in a situation where you're going to die. Whereas situations where a storm, whether you shelter in place or leave, you have a higher mortality rate among the most frail population. That's the point I think he was trying to make. You're right. It doesn't come across. I'm sure families may not be happy with that.
Jim, great job getting this attorney to sit down with you, and you interviewed the employees of the nursing home yesterday.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And one of the things I wanted to point out, because there's another bit of news that I want to make here, that Jim Cobb told us that they took readings inside the nursing home during this, their director of engineering, and they're going to have affidavits. They claim that they're going to have affidavits, sworn affidavits, saying that the temperature inside the nursing home was never more than 81 or 82 degrees. Now, I'm sure the state will, and the prosecutors and the rest of them will have their own experts to try to look at it if anything comes of this. Right now, nobody's been charged. But I want to raise out one other quick point. One of the things he said in this story that I thought was fascinating, would catch my attention. Think about the catch-22 situation that you're in if you are the decision maker. This is a point we've stressed yesterday, and I want to stress it again today. We keep asking the nursing home, who was the decision maker? And they keep telling us they're going to have to get back to us. Who was in charge that day? That's the question that I think is a lot of this is going to come down to.
Oh, I'm sure we're going to get to the bottom of that. Thanks very much, Jim.
Jim, thank you. Keep it right here for CBS 4 continuing coverage of this nursing home tragedy, where you'll see exclusive reporting from Jim DeFede. If you miss any of his three-part investigation, you can watch it by going to cbsmiami.com.